This episode of the Turntable Teachers Podcast featuring Meech of Van Buren Records is brought to you by the Find Your Sound Workbook, the ultimate songwriting workbook for the hip-hop and R&B artist. Get 54 profit, industry-ready beats for free with the $25 purchase of one workbook. Find Your Sound creates the perfect songwriting atmosphere by including a QR code to each beat that allows you to easily stream each beat while focusing on writing your lyrics in the physical workbook to eliminate all distractions. Each beat in the book includes a unique name, type beat, BPM, key, and freestyle words to help flourish creativity efficiently. Don't limit yourself to one style. Learn to unleash your creativity in ways you never imagined before. This is an amazing tool for artists, music supervisors, and music students. Unleash your creativity and find your sound. Visit thekidproductionsshop.com to purchase your workbook today. And now, enjoy episode 84 of the Turntable Teachers featuring Meech of Van Buren Records.
Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session. Here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, podcaster, or content creator, make sure you hit us up at aoastudios.org to book your session today. And I'm joined by a very special guest.
Yes, sir.
He might look very familiar, part of the illustrious music collective Van Buren. The one and only Meech BOLD is here joining the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Meech, this is awesome. I'm so excited you're here, bro.
A long time coming.
It's seriously, we were just talking off air, like how, and good for you, man. You were like, oh, how long you been doing this? About 2019. Like you did a little bit of your research too.
I was serious. I remember that when I seen that logo, I was like, yo, I remember that time. That was so early because you came. Yeah, it happened around the time we just started really infiltrating the scene.
Exactly.
So I remember that, like, so
yeah, because we had he used to when he was going by Lord Felix. We had him on in 2019, and that was when we were audio only. We were talking about this a little bit off air. So you are the second Van Buren member that we had on the show.
We gotta get more, man.
We're gonna get them all. We're gonna roll through them all. So Giles, E.T., Luke, Andrew Regis. We're talking to all you guys. So we'll get you all on here eventually. But no, great to have you here, bro. You're doing amazing things, and I've been following you for a long time, and you've been so great in the scene, and you guys as Van Buren, with so much to talk about. The first thing I want to start with, this is actually the objective. So this part of the episode, we get to know a little bit about you and your background. So I know you are a very family-oriented person, and your family, you come from like a lot of entrepreneurs and things like that. So for you, like coming from such an entrepreneurial background, how do you think that growing up as a kid, like how has that sort of helped you in your later years as an artist, and of course like growing up as you've gotten to this point?
It showed a lot of self-reliance. It's tough because in a perfect world you want everyone to be on the same page and we all become Amazon, right? You know what I mean? But entrepreneurship, especially seeing it specifically, it was my dad, and he just from the ground up, even beforehand, you're talking about DIY, like that's a guy that created everything from scratch. Like he just had to learn, right? So whether it was soap or like the box for the soap, the logo for said soap, like that would be one thing. Then it's oil. Then it's, a shampoo, right? Like all these type of things. Then it's jewelry, right? Makeup powder. Like I'm seeing him doing that at a young age. And I was just always confused because he had a job. So I'm like, wait, why is this happening when I was like 10, 11? And at the time, I guess my ignorance was just annoyed because I'm like, oh, why do I got to do this? I would go on little trips. But as I've gotten like now where I stand, I see, especially we seeing it in the music industry, a lot of the things is preferred to be independent now. Like, it's more on your side because it's all right. There's less hands involved, more creative control. So to see that at a younger age was insane. So like some people seeing it now in this new social media age, to gravitate to it, I can say like I was definitely privileged to see that at 10 to now, till this day. Like my dad hasn't stopped, right? So awesome. It's insane just to see him start from a wholesale business to then he has 2 beauty supply stores. Like you're talking about 19 years later, right? Wow. Like first starts with a wholesale business 19 years ago, and he's working still, balancing it, and then time goes by. He doesn't have his job anymore, And he's like, I'm gonna just do this. And you're looking up 12 years later, 2 stores. You're like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. So that showed me just the music, same thing. If I started in 2017, seriously, it started then. Like, you're talking about 6 years. So I look at it in like human years, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even in my adolescent stages yet. Like, I'm an infant. You know, everyone in VB's, it's still early.
Oh, God.
Still early.
Yeah.
So I think now it kind of taught me the resilience, the patience, and the intention. You got to know what you want out of it. So my dad always had that. Like, that was I'll probably say my dad a lot, because it's just like that. That's someone I really model my game after, in a sense. So I've seen an article in '98. He said, I want to own a beauty supply store. I'm like, 98, and it didn't happen until 2009. You know what I mean? Like, it's just intention. Yeah,
sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for you guys, just getting your start as a collective to where you are now, and you've made such headway. But I completely agree with you. I think you guys are only like scratching the surface of what you potentially can do.
Yeah.
So I'll transition a little bit to that, of course, with you guys in Van Buren. But I first want to talk a little bit about Brockton and actually the scene in Brockton, because I think when people think, you know, Massachusetts, of course, the city that always comes to mind is Boston.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes those lines get a little bit blurred. Everybody sort of gets put in this box of, oh, Boston artist, Boston artist, Boston artist. And Millie's has said this many times. I've heard him say this on many interviews, where it's like, no, it's like not everybody's from Boston. It's from Massachusetts. And you guys, I feel like, do such a great job of repping Brockton. And with the amount of artists that come from the Massachusetts scene, I feel like, you know, of course they're coming from all over. I feel like Roxbury is a place where there's a lot of artists coming, like tons, and has been for a long time. But I feel like Brockton's like, you know, right on its heels. I mean, you have you guys, you have Garrett Merck, Easy Beats, Neo Retro. This new artist I just came on to called 20 Tabs Open, who's dope. Brandon Torrey. You know, the list goes on and on. So what do you think it is about Brockton that makes it so special as an arts and sort of creative community?
The culture. So for sure, 110%. If you ever find yourself in that end of Massachusetts, man, you'll see a lot of mom and pop shops, right? And it's mostly owned by foreign people. So it'll be like a mom and pop shop owned by a Cape Verdean, mom and pop shop owned by a Jamaican, by a Haitian, African, right? So it's very extensive in that sense. And I think that's why I always loved art, because that space was like, you can just walk the street and you'll hear Tupac, and then you'll hear Haitian compa, right? Like, which is like a form of genre in Haitian music, or you'll hear Afrobeats, right? You'll hear 90s R&B, right? You'll just hear Black African Americans go crazy, or then you'll hear alternative, right? You'll hear like the alternative coming from the 80s, right? Or Michael Jackson, right? Pop music, right? So it's like insane, like when you just walk out there, and it's all cohesive. So when you're there, you'll see the basketball culture, you'll see the basketball courts, right? The parks, like you'll see that, and that was a big part of it, and that nurtured a lot of me. Personally, most of VB, they were at the public school, so that domain kind of curated their existence to just like the language, how to joke around, what to wear, how you dress. Like we're not on the same time as Boston, so that's why that distinction was important, because we didn't take a train anywhere. Like, we didn't have this public transportation system set up that was like, we can get to the city. We can get to, sounds weird, but I couldn't get to a Gucci. Like, at 14, I couldn't get to, Gucci wasn't near Brockton, right? It was Westgate Mall, right? That's what you had, the local mall. And then you had the Brockton Fair. Like, we didn't have the carnival, like the Boston Carnival, where it's insane. Or the Celtics even, right? Like, you're supporting from a distance, whereas people are like, yeah, I used to go to Celtics game when I was young. I was like, bro, a Celtics game was a whole day worth of a trip.
That was like a vacation.
That's a vacation. No, seriously, bro.
Brother, I believe it.
You talk about 40 minute transition, drive, all that. Nah, bro. So for us, it was like we worked with what we had. Like, I remember Mariah Carey was like, I'm doing the best with what I got. You know, like, absolutely. Literally, that's what it felt like. So that's what made it so special. And the history behind it too. Like, we had, I think it was Marvin Hagler, and then we had Rocky, right? You had infamous boxers, and then you had actors like Pooch Hall. He was on The Game when I was popping on WWB. So it's like with Tia Mori, like one of the twins. Like, it was just crazy. So, and then we had a football player, I think Al Louis Jean. Hopefully I'm not butchering his name, but I remember he played for the Bears, right? We have a guy named AJ Montero right now. I hope I'm not butchering his name either, 'cause I don't know him personally, but I know of them and their work. Playing for the Dolphins. And then we had like this guy Nizri, who played in Nevada D1, plays overseas. I think he's in the FIBA World Cup right now.
Oh, sweet.
For the Ivory Coast for that tournament. So it's like everyone was doing something, and everyone's special. There's so many special people in Brockton that haven't seen the light of day, but we always hear that story, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, no, it was, I mean, at first it was, I actually, Garrett Merck I've been listening to for probably, weirdly enough,
I was
over a
with him
decade.
yesterday, actually.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Shout out Garrett
Shout out
Merck,
my
man.
guy.
One of the nicest guys I've met in the scene for sure. He's great. He knows this story because I've told him before, but I was in college. I was a junior, and I was one of my roommates. He comes into the room and we're listening to some music. He's like, yo, back when he was going by Merck, he's like, yo, I got to show you this song. And it was Fish Brains. Well, that was way back. Yeah. And so we used to bump that shit like crazy. And then when I started got into the scene again, or not again, but for the first time really, and started the podcast and came back onto him, I shot him a DM. I'm like, bro, but I didn't realize he was from Brockton. And then obviously you guys, and then there's just so many, like I said, like all the names I mentioned, I'm probably, like you said, you named plenty too. I'm forgetting so many. D the Flyers, that's right.
There's a bunch, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many. I feel like, if you're from Brockton, there's a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. I can see almost like it's like something I can you can almost visibly see. But you guys just seem like, I'm not saying nobody else from Massachusetts works hard, but there's just a different feeling to it. You guys take a lot of pride from being from Brockton, and I just appreciate that, having pride in where you're from.
Yeah, it's we're the ET. It's boxer country, right? So it's it's really a battle. And I to me, I stand where I stand. So I know Brockton has something different in the water compared to the other cities in Mass. And people like Millie's and them, they're in a position where they can talk overall because he's working with a Jada case, he's working at a high level, right? Sure. Bia, they're working at a high level. Brockton, Massachusetts already has a tough infrastructure, right? Mm-hmm. So if you even coming from a poppin' scene like Stiz and them, they're coming from a Boston or Dorchester, right? It's like, okay, there's still not a big advantage even for them, even for Boston, right? So because the landscape is not like that. So now imagine you think about a city like us or Springfield. Right? Totally. Like spaces like that where I know there's a lot of artists working. There's a lot of them. But I think for us, the swagger, our step is just different. Brockton's step is just different. Like when they talk about Brooklyn in New York, that's how I feel about Brockton.
That's a good comparison, actually.
Seriously.
I think
seriously.
so.
Because when I'm in Brooklyn, I'll be like, yo, this is so special. It's so weird. It's so different. Brockton's the same way. Yo, you'll one day see just a beautiful set of teachers and young children walking to their school, right? And it's like, all right, kids, walk on the side. And then you just see a fiend hit the robot. Like 5 seconds later. You're just like, what is going on? And then you'll see another person's preaching the gospel. And then 5 seconds later, you'll see two people, a car accident, and then they're getting out in the middle of the street, cussing in Puerto Rican and Cape Verde, right? So it's just like that. That's the spontaneous energy that comes with Brockton. Seriously,
I love it. Yeah. No, I appreciate that so much, and I feel like you guys are such a great representation of Brockton, and I want to obviously get to that. So of course, everyone knows that Meech is a part of Van Buren, and so I, a little bit some of my research, I found that so you've known Lord Felix, now goes by Felix, since you were young, since you were 3. Yeah. But you didn't really join Van Buren until a little bit after, right? Like once you stopped playing college basketball at Elms, right? You really got into Van Buren then. So talk to me about your guys' come up and sort of working together and how that has been from when you guys started to, of course, where you're at now, which again, I think you guys are on the precipice of really just breaking the whole floodgates open.
Yeah, I appreciate those words, man.
You are. I'm not just saying that because the cameras roll. I genuinely believe that. I really do.
It's always interesting hearing it because I don't know. Getting to this point, it started with a recording in one of our boys' closets, right?
It always starts that way.
Starts like that.
Yeah,
right?
So. Lord Felix, if and whenever you watch this, he knows. He came up to literally my bedroom was split in 2 ways, and it was, or you never would have known it if you saw it on camera, but he came in when we had no cameras, like I said, audio recording only, so you just the level up is it happens, of course.
And we could lose sight of that, but it was huge because I think 15, 16 and 14, whatever, just like anything, hip hop is a teaching tool.
Yeah.
So it taught us everything that we knew and our interests. It did. So growing up in that blog era, Asher Roth, Charles Hamilton.
Asher Roth,
right?
That's a name I haven't heard in a
Yeah,
little bit.
bro. Mickey Fax.
Yeah, Mickey Fax.
Kendrick.
Absolutely.
Drake, right? Those guys, they infiltrated our space, and then you had clothing brands come with it, whether it be like a Johnny Cupcakes, BBC, LRG, right? And it was always just of interest, right? And of any kids in the urban community. And then 15, 16, it became like Felix took some initiative to actually create something out of it. And I remember to this day we had one of our boys, Lolo. At the time we made like a mixtape. Like we just had an interface, recorded right there, made like a whole mixtape in like an hour or two. It's still out there. It's mad funny, but it's just like, all right. And that stemmed to, let's actually cultivate something. And Stiz, Christmas, OG, Hefe, Lino, Vintage, like that scene started budding. Garrett, all those people started dropping and getting like double XL to cover them, or little article here, or Mac Miller to give recognition, or Logic, or Drake, or ASAP Mob, right? So it showed us like, whoa, I just saw him last week at Greco, you know what I mean? Like wait a minute, I just dapped Hefe outside of New Balance or something, right? So it's like, right, RP for real, because it's like it was crazy. So that's where everything shifted. Like, all right, Felix was just like joking around. I would just joke around because I always would freestyle all the time since I was like 11, and then Giles was always interested in it, and then that cultivated everything. So. Awesome. Yeah, bro. It was just that was the start. That was the start of all of that. Made it possible.
Yeah, and what I love about you guys, so I'm been a bit, and I'm not comparing you guys whatsoever, but I'm just saying like I've been a huge fan of like Brockhampton for a long time. Right when I came on to hip hop, even going back, like big fan of Wu-Tang, and what I've always loved about those groups and you guys as well is I feel like you each bring such a unique style and a unique element to the group that is necessary, right? Even in some of your cadences or the way you flow, but somehow it all seems to kind of work together. So I'm wondering, with such a large collective and there's being so many of you, does it make, when you guys get into a room and when you guys are creating together, what parts of that creative process make it really easy and simple to be able to create together, but what elements as well make it a little bit more challenging because sometimes that, that there's that age-old quote of like too many cooks in the kitchen type deal. So for you guys, like, where does that balance sort of come from? Because I feel like, from the outside looking in, it seems like you guys really move together well as a group, but even when, like, for example, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, but the Goldfest performance, there was only, it was only you and Veda, E.T., and Andrew, but it still felt like a Van Buren performance. So talk to me a little bit about like what makes having so many people and so many members of a group easy, and where it maybe becomes as a challenge.
Where it's easy is you start to weed out, we all love it, like we all love the art form, right? So a lot of that is unspoken when all right, I should take out my verse, or I should take out that bridge, or I should add a bridge, or I belong on this beat. You know what I mean? There'll be things like that will occur. So those were the things that made it flow through our first two projects specifically. The third project, we went in a different direction because everyone was like kind of dispersed. So we made it like, I could almost treat DSM as a compilation tape. Seriously. It's not like a conceptual situation. It's just like a lot of stuff was happening. So the first two projects, we was in the same room and we were making it. And it was like just the agenda of art. Like, all right, let's see what's going on in the air. What's the vibe? And it's like, all right, Bad for Press. It's like, they don't want to see us win. Right, they don't want to see it. They don't want to see a collective win. They want drill raps. They want twerk music. So we bad for the agenda. Boom, right? That's the objective. And then we in LA, and we're just like, yo, we saw opportunities and saw things and ideas about how we can grow, in a financial sense. So we're just like, yo, Black Wall Street, and Aziz was already there. So we're just like, Black Wall Street. Let's turn it up. Let's turn. Right, facts. That's my guy. It's like, let's turn it up. So that was that, and then you get to this point where it's like, all right, dudes started growing 3 years. That was 2021. So 2 years go by, I've gotten older. Everyone's gotten older. Your agendas change, right? People get in relationships. People break out of relationships. People get into situations for music, deals, whatever. They get out of deals. All that, right? We balance and act. So that's where the cons start coming in because it's real life, right? So you have People might have grieved, you know, they might have lost a loved one or something. So those things kind of come in the way and people change. So now it's like, I can tell you now, like this Meech, I go by Meech Bold now. I was going by Meech in Bad for Press. Like that should already show you this kind of this evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to approach it the same anymore. Like I'm not approaching whatever our next project is the way I did Bad for Press, and neither will Felix, because he's not even Lord Felix no more, right? He's Felix,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Everyone's going through these arcs.
Even E.T., he was St. Leor for the longest time and then changed to E.T.
There you go,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So it's that is the con aspect of it, is that we evolve and we grow. So it changes. Like the music's gonna change. The collective music will change. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna be what it was, and that's the thing. And I think there's you will find your disagreements, because it's just like, oh, this worked. When we did that, this worked. I'm like, well, we're not that anymore,
exactly.
right?
Like sometimes, like you said, like there's that might have only worked in that time, and because of the way you've all evolved and naturally just grown, that same formula might not work again.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's where you butt heads, because it's like, no, we should do an EP. No, we should do 3 songs. No, we should do 23 songs.
Right.
No, we should do a conceptual album. No, we should just do a mixtape. No, we should just work with VB producers only. No, let's go to LA and work with these producers. No, let's work with Aziz, right? And then that's where everything starts hitting the fans, and it's like you gotta feel it out. And I think that's one reason why a lot of our personal art and our art in general that we put out will always it will be pretty solid. It will always be pretty good, because it comes from this like moral compass. Like we respect what we came up off of. If you came up off of Blueprint, you came up off of Odd Future, ASAP Mob, whatever, Drake, we know what those guys took when it came to their intention, right? It was like, we took our time, whether it was even 4 or 5 mixtapes, it just made sense, you know what I mean, for them to craft what they wanted to craft. So that's why I know for us, the pros will always outweigh the cons, but it's tough, because being in a group, not everyone's going to accept it.
Of course. And, you know, I like what you said about that, because I think and I appreciate your like vulnerable and honesty there, because I know that was kind of a potentially difficult question to ask. But like I appreciate the honesty. No, I do. Yeah, but I think that's something that like I think normal or just regular audience or regular fans, when they're listening to music, don't think about that all the time. They just think about the art, and they think about, oh my god, this band broke up, like why? I used to love them, like they were doing so well. It's and I don't mean this in a negative way, but because we all have them, me included, all of us. Ego plays a huge factor in a lot of things, but ego is actually a positive thing, because ego allows us to actually be the driving force, to be the creatives and put ourselves out there and do that thing. But it can also get in the way as well, because we all have our own opinions on how we maybe see, you know, as a group, how we maybe see fit to continue. So I completely agree with that. I hear what you're saying. My last question on this sort of section of this is, you know, of course, all you guys do solo music as well, and you each feature on each other's, you know, solo music a lot.
Most part, yeah. Some guys get away with it. Some guys, and it'd be like that.
Yeah. And you do, like, I mean, you've had a lot of the members on your songs. Yeah. So for you, like, how do you decide when you're crafting like a Meech Bold project? Yeah. Like, how do you decide or differentiate, you know, which Van Buren members you're going to have on certain songs? Does that like naturally just happen? Or is there like you said earlier about intention, is there like an intentional thing? Like, okay, I heard this beat, I think Giles would be good on it, or I think Luke would be good on it. Right. Like, how does that sort of work for you personally? It could be different for everybody.
Yeah. For me, it's always intuitive pull. So when I would hear a record, when I make my stuff, I just make it, right? I'll just make it from my concept, my brain, and then I'll listen to it every day, right? So, for example, if I had Giles, like my 9/4, like I had Giles and Felix on there and Luke, right? And I remember me and Luke, like we had this synergy at the time that was very backpack energy. So I had a beat that was kind of backpacking. I'm like, this will work. No house parties, let's do it. Trust was mad, vulnerable, and darker, more trap heavy and more gritty. So then it's just kind of like, oh, Giles is here, let's just do it. And then Felix, we had like We VB, and I know Felix is always, me and him are always like just naturally conscientious. So when it's a little bit more deeper, more meat to it, to the concept, it's like, all right, Felix is good at that. And that was just kind of like naturally. But the thing that is more so the challenge is, okay, I need you to get on this and give me 32 bars. Like that's how I'll be. So like when I had like a song Spraying Wrist, I said, ET, I just need you to do a bridge, and you're gonna sing it because your voice is kind of weird. That's the point, right? It's not like, you know, ET could go in there and rap for 38 bars. It's like, I don't need you to do that. That's not what the song needs, right? And that's where I kind of decipher when I want to get VB involved. It's not in there. It's not gonna be for their justice. It's gonna be like, all right, Felix, I want you to come in. You gotta give me 8 rap verses. I don't even need you to, or Luke, give me background vocals, literally strictly. Like I have a song Pray, like Luke's in the background and he's just singing of the same thing over and over. I said, just do that. Right. And that's the point, right? Like you got to utilize people differently. Whereas it's like, it gets boring when you're like, all right, Giles, give me another 32. Right. You know, like the third time in a row, like, let's get it. Like I don't like mundane stuff like that. So if I'm going to ask an Invader, like, all right, I had a thought about an Invader and I want him to be more melodic and more singing tone. And I didn't even get the chance to do it. But then I got someone else to do it that I was like, I just kind of kept on listening. I said, oh, that guy would work perfectly for it. And it literally worked. Like, it's just all creative intuitiveness. And, like, trust, a lot of the times it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work out.
Yeah,
so
not always.
That's how it goes. Like, some VB guys didn't have it. It's like E.T., I don't think he had anybody on his last project from VB on it. And Veda, same thing. Luke, same thing. So, like, and I think that's the thing. We kind of gravitate into our own worlds.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
That's how it is. And I know for me, though, if I'm going to have you involved in it, it's going to be on my terms. Like, I'm never really that hands-on, but when it comes to just life, like, I'll let you rock. But when it comes to my personal albums, LPs, and EPs, like, those are no joke because, like, those they helped me. Like, listen to a Kendrick's LP or a Cole's LP, those literally helped me into, like, existence. Right, so I'm not gonna play around and have like, yo, just give me an L13 bar. Trust me, I'll scrap it if it doesn't make sense, right?
Exactly.
That's the best thing, man. And like the greatest thing is knowing that people left and they'll say, yo, I never talked about that stuff. I'm like, yep, like that's what Meech BOLD's music's about. Like I want it to be vulnerable. I want it to be hip hop. Like I want it to be art. You know, I want it to be very, very transparent. You know what I mean? To the point where it gets confusing for people. Like, wait, did he just admit? Did he just say? You know, and that's the point. Right, I don't want you to come in and give me a good verse. It's a billion good verses. We could go on IG Reels right now and find a great freestyle, and then another one, and then another one. Right, like nothing gets done in the end of it all. Like, so that's why for me, it's very challenging. To get on my project at least. You know?
That's fine. Yeah, it's all good, man. No, I love the insight, and I think something you said earlier that again I keep harping back to, but I think it's so important. It's that word, intent, right? You seem like an intentional guy in everything that you do. So I appreciate that a lot for you and your music. I think is so expansive in a lot of the different types of genre, like subgenres of hip hop that you're able to touch. We're gonna transition into the main lesson of this episode where we talk about what you're doing right now, what you got going on, and I want to really break down a lot more of your solo music, specifically the most recent EP you just dropped, Money Man Meech, which is awesome, by the way. You guys should definitely check it out. Linked in the description below. Make sure you guys check that thing out. It's awesome. It's 5 tracks, but technically like 3 originals with like 2 sort of like... Yeah,
it's like 2 new ones.
Yeah,
3 remixes.
Right, exactly. Which is, I thought was dope. So obviously you have on Money Man Meech the sort of title track. You had that on 28, but now have Sir Michael Rocks on that as a feature, which is amazing. I want to talk about that too. And then you have Is Your Birthday with Luke. And then, the name of the other song with Neo Retro's escaping me.
Sweet Mickey.
Sweet Mickey, yes, that's
Sweet
exactly
Mickey,
it. So great little 3, we'll call it a 5-pack, but it's really like 3 originals.
Like
three originals. Man, talk to me about the Sir Michael Rocks feature. So So you obviously had MMM out as a song on 28, as I mentioned, and then what was the timeline or process with that? Because you had released that prior, and then you come out with this again, but with a Sir Michael Rocks feature. So take me through like how that happened.
Cool Kids followed us like last year at some point in time. You know what I mean? So the Legends, I tell this day I want to Chuck English beat too. That's gonna be my next on the list. Filthy, so good, bro. And it was just there was this. Once I started working on this next LP that I'm working on right now, it was kind of, okay, let me just how can I service the distro platforms really, just so that it doesn't look like I'm an idol. So that was just my whole thought process. And I said Money Man Meech is the one. Like when it came to a more friendly record to the public on 28, Money Man Meech was that. So and it was always just funny. I always grew up on WWE. And raps are just personas and arcs, right? So rappers are just that. So I'm just like, yeah, Money Man Meech is that's the new thing. So ran with that, and it was doing well on streaming and stuff for me. And then I was like, all right, let me just add to that. And luckily was able to just reach out to Sir Michael, and he's just like, yeah, bro, like I heard of y'all, let's do it. And I was like, I think it was about the tax. I was like, yeah, like how much he's gonna ask for it. And he's like, yeah, bro, I mess with you, I mess with y'all, so like I usually do, I think it was like 900. He's like, I'll just do it for 300. I said, oh, wow.
Yeah,
you're a legend.
A steal and a half.
That's a steal.
Well, he was just on Garrett Merck's most recent song too. So he's been touching all the Brockton stuff lately, huh?
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
That's why I rock with it. And he's like he has a whole clothing line. So
sweet.
Rapping isn't like his agenda,
right? Now,
so that's why it's cool that he even responded and was like, yeah,
people evolve, right?
Yep.
There you go. There it is.
So that's how it went, and I was great. I was like, bro. And the thing that I was so happy about is just like again, it's the same thing. I ain't adjusted. I want Michael Rocks on there on my terms. So I'm like, I think it was like 12 verses, 12 bars, maybe. I'm like, that's all I need. Yeah, I don't need you to give me the 34.
And he was probably like, word, that's cool.
yeah, trust. He ain't gonna hesitate. So when I got that back, I said, yep, this is exactly what the song needs. That's the point. And I can say I worked with him. So
of course, you have that in your catalog now. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's a great. Do you mind if we play a little clip of it for the people?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. We're gonna play a little clip of Money Man Meech, I guess technically the remix, right? With Sir Michael Rocks. And we'll be right back.
I ain't gon' strut my stuff, no life is tough, I see how you getting it. I got the mic, it's just shot, the mic is the youngest beginning. Talk about the top a lot, I know that it's only the second you getting rich. Tired of being so generous, you talking too much, degenerates. Most of these people degenerates, leaving their job and they benefits. I can be talking, I'm part of the crowd. Got me a jump with a couple of thou. Want me a shorty to buckle it down. Getting too loud, the money I found was making you proud. Compromised by the sequence, too deep in my feelings to see. I ain't talk too much, I was just down for it. Time to go be a man, seeking a fountain, please. Money gon' cost a rise, I leave on shot, they down me. Money gon' cost a rise, I leave on shot, they down me. Money man Meech, money. 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 Money man Meech, money.
And that was Money Man Meech, the title track off of Meech Bold's brand new EP featuring Sir Michael Rocks. So, Jon Glass. I want to talk about Jon. Big shout out to Jon Glass.
Shout out Jon.
Like,
the GOAT.
Seriously.
Yeah.
GOAT as like a human being too. Like anyone that knows him and has met him before, like the nicest human being ever. He knows, I've said this many times, he's done so much for me as just a creative and as a person. Right. So, and I'm sure you can attest to the same for real. He is just a staple in this scene here. You're working on an LP with him, correct? So talk to me about what it's been like to work with Jon. I mean, of course, you've been working with a lot of different producers like Aziz, of course, and then within Van Buren, Andrew, and Ricky, of course. Big shout out to Ricky Felix. So what have you learned about yourself, and how do you feel like you've grown or maybe adapted a little bit even as an artist working with someone like Jon? And what has that experience overall been like for you? I'm sure a positive one, but I'd like to hear you a little, get a little bit more depth in that.
Jon, so the long story short is me and Jon would always have conversations here and there in passing. And then I hit this creative rut really last year for a while, and I just didn't record. Last year was probably the least I recorded after like four or 5 years of just recording every day, every week, whatever. And then I kind of hit this rut because of just things that were happening. So Jon, one day, I think we were at, I don't remember what concert it was. We were at some artist's concert. I'm so mad I don't remember what it was, but I seen him outside and walking. And I always would fall short on a lot of my promises, specifically last year. So I'll be like, yeah, man, like we'll cook up, like we'll get up. The common artist jargon. 99% of artists are lying, literally, bro. We're all just like, yeah, we're gonna do it next week, yo. I'm gonna be there. Yeah, we gotta cook up.
I can attest to that as a podcaster too. It happens sometimes, which I get. You know, life happens.
Happens.
I never take it personally. I'll put it that way.
Right, and that's why I think, to me, I learned a big lesson when I looked at Jon. I said, yeah, we're gonna do that because I haven't recorded. I got nothing, and luckily, like 28 just came naturally. But he's like, yeah, let's do it. So pulled up, and then we were just recording songs here and there. And I was like, yeah, bro. I said, like, one, Jon's filthy. I never been in a room space like him making music. So I didn't know what he was capable of.
It's different.
Right?
Watching
it's different.
Him is different.
Yeah, it's like he does this. So that was that. And then when I seen that and I heard the records we were making, it was uncomfortable in a good way. So like it was just, my approach was different and than ever to making records and making songs and making the concepts that I had, because it was just like a year and a half of concepts that have been riddling me, and I didn't have anybody that could give me the beats that I wanted. Like none of them. Not Ricky, no one in VB, no one outside. And there's great producers, man, but it's just like it wasn't connecting for me. So then Jon did that, and because he was just an open canvas of like, let's do it. Even if and I'm pretty sure he didn't know how to do, like he didn't know what he was gonna do. Like he's like, yo, I want funk, soul, Japanese all in one. And a little bit of Crash Bandicoot in there.
Oh,
also, the
Crash
1990,
Bandicoot, bro.
right?
Let's go.
Right?
Good shit.
No, literally, we sample Metal Gear Solid.
That's awesome.
The designation sound when they catch you.
Oh,
I was like, bro,
yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do with it, but I want this in there. Right? So seriously, I brought a washing machine. I was like, yo, I was washing my clothes yesterday. Could you do something with this? Bet, let's get it. And we did that.
Awesome.
So it's crazy. And he's like, just do it, man. Let's do it. So I'm like, yo, this dude's crazy.
He's like, yeah, he is always back down for anything like that. Like,
whatever.
He really is. He's like, all right, let's try it. Even if it fucks up, if it doesn't work.
And
so I love his energy like that.
His energy's like that. And that's creativity. Like to every creative, I had no advice for you, but the only thing I say is never shut down a person's idea ever. And it could lead to the dumbest thing in the world, or it could lead to something so good. And that's the thing, like Jon opened my eyes to. And then when it leads to something good, arrange it. Arrange it correctly. Like, and there's certain things you arrange naturally. Like if it's already like, I have songs where there's 4 verses. And like, I remember I do that. I have always wanted to do that. And I never did it because I'm like, they told me songs were getting shorter. So then you're like, uh-oh. But now he was able to really pull out the best in me through like natural conversation, right? That's one, caring about me as a person, and then taking my actual stories and my like hearing me. Like he's like, all right, bet I'm gonna add this. I know that you said you love DMX, you love Sade, you love Tupac. So maybe I add a little vocal here that's area of Sade, and then it picks my ears, and now I got another 8-12 bars. Like I'm convicted to do that because he's just listening, right? So that's what changed. He honestly saved my creative lifespan, like because I was just like, specifically with music, because I was just like, everything sounded monotonous. The beats sounded the same, snare sounded the same, samples sounded the same. Nothing was feeling new to me after those last 2-3 years, from Bad for Press till last year, literally till January. So I did with him, and that was really everything, man. Like to this day. So like, we do it weekly. We work weekly on it. I listen to that stuff every day, and it's my best work, and it's not even done, but it's my best work for sure, 110%.
There's just something to be said for that, and I hear what you're saying, because not to relate to you a little bit, like I kind of went through the same thing a couple of years ago. I felt like, I was really making myself be like, all right, I have to, drop episodes on a certain day, and I have to like bust out all this content and things like that, and I was just getting burnt out with it, and it just became so monotonous to me, and it was almost like I was on autopilot, and I didn't feel as though I was getting like fulfillment out of it anymore. And then once I sort of just switched things up and changed things, that's when and certain things did fall into place for me that was able to do that. But like you said, for me, I feel the same way with me. It opened my eyes, and I was able to then sort of completely say, you know what, like I'm not going to get complacent and comfortable with this. I loved what you said earlier about getting uncomfortable but enjoying that feeling. Like I think not enough people put themselves intentionally in that situation, because that's when the most growth comes, is when you're uncomfortable. Of course. I mean, any situation. So,
and I think you hit it on the nail too. Don't mean to interrupt.
No,
like
absolutely.
that growth, I don't want to lose my thought, because that
please
growth
do.
aspect, this is a creative talk, right? So I think that growth aspect is so essential in there's like, I remember I read something from this artist, this pottery woman, I forgot her name, but she was from France. She was ill, she was fire, and she was like, there's two forms of art, there's capital A art and there's lowercase a art. So then like when I looked at that, capital A art services capitalism, media, mainstream, and then lowercase a art is transformative, like genuinely transformative, is growth, is evolution based. I
love that.
So when I seen that, I said, I am a lowercase a art guy naturally, and that's the point. Like you have to like you have to signify what are you trying to service, because when you're flip floppy, which a lot of artists are doing, and that's why hip hop or music industry is stale, because you have people kind of flip flopping into what fits in this agenda, what fits in that agenda, and no one can choose a side. And that's what people want to root for. Yeah. I root for people that have a side, even if it's like I don't even agree with it. Like that's the point. Like you could stand on it, and that's where it's like, yo, I don't like that guy because he always is like about this, right? And it's like at least he's showing where he's drawing the line. But now we have people that are going on both ends, and then you're doing everything, which is great for practice for sure. But if we're talking about catalog and building up identity and something to believe in, like you're gonna have to be able to give me something, some sort of direction. So if I'm listening to DMX, I know what I'm going. I know what direction I'm going.
Sure.
You listen to Drake, you know exact. You think you're gonna go to Drake for marriage advice? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what we talking about? You hope not, bro. Like,
I hope not.
You know what I mean? So, and that's the point. But artists don't even care about identifying themselves. They just want to be lit. They just want to be involved. They just want to. And I can't. I just know that's the setup. Sadly, I just won't do that. You know what I mean? I know my direction. I know my parents raised me and put things behind me to this not really showcase where I'm supposed to go. Like from what I was raised, like, you know, and that's why I think it's always important when you see people from this background, like the hood or whatever, or people that come up in a family of musicians and they're like really good at guitar and they have great catalogs, right? Like those type of people. So it's that's the reason why the creative needs to be protected right now more than ever. And we're cultivating something, but what is, again, the intention? What is it? Yeah. Like, what is it? The same thing with the scene. Like, what is the scene? What is it, right? Because I remember New York scene, their intention was like based with fashion. So when you have Rev Run and them cultivate with one another, they're now wearing that hat. They're now wearing that shoes. And we have some stuff. So like you have local brands that are happening in the scene too. And it's like, do they intertwine with us as well, or is it just cool? And that's the problem. Like you have people that are just like, they're too cool for school, so they stand over there. And it's like you're gonna be good, you're gonna have 20,000 30,000 followers and all that stuff and doing great on the internet, digital space, but it never was like we were all wearing Coogee sweaters. Like we don't, like what can I tell my child like about our run, like our scene, when it's all said and done? Like, what do you have? Like, and that's why I was like, yeah, we used to wear that. Like one day you want your son to pick up something and it's like a sock or like a shoe or something. You're like, yo, what is this? He's like, yo, you would have never guessed. Like, I don't know, when Meech BOLD had that show in 2038, like that's what we wore, right? We don't have that identity. We don't have that signification anymore. And art was always cultivating that. You know what I mean? Like, that's why for me, I'll always name drop. I just love name dropping people I respect. So like Midas is on Money Man Meech. Like Midas is a collective group from Brockton. You know what I mean? And I was like, I got the Midas touch, so shout out to Midas. The youngest be getting it. Like I'm gonna rap about that because that's cool what they doing. Persona hat. If you're wearing a Persona hat, that's cool. So rap about that. You know. But we're gonna go push New Balance. We're gonna go push Rick Owens. We're gonna go push a whole They already got it. Timberlands. They already got it. Right. They're good. You know what I mean? How about Bold? How about we're talking about turntables? How about that? Like mention that. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what's missing because dudes are gonna exaggerate other stuff for the sake of the shininess. It's gonna be more digestible. But like, if I rap about this, it's gonna be uncomfortable for somebody. And it's like, this is so monotonous. It's so boring. It's so this. I wanted to escape. And it's just like, all right, bro. Like, what if I told you we're all trying to do that? And that's the point. Like, let's listen to this and say, like, oh, you too? Like, that's why it always made me feel so resonated to a Tupac or DMX or any R&B act, you know, that inspired me. And that's what this scene can do. This scene can do that. You can get a 14-year-old to be attached to your platform, to your interviews, just like this, right? Just your music. We have a responsibility. We'll see. Time will tell. Time will show us, bro.
Bro, wow. That was a mic drop.
Bro.
I would drop this if it wasn't attached. That was very well said.
Yeah, bro.
Very well articulated. I love everything you just said there. And I agree with a lot of it, truthfully. I definitely feel as though there are artists that sometimes, like you said, flip-flop in that way. And then, everyone's trying to get to a specific place, right? And it's that classic, again, I'm going to drop a bunch of corny, I never do this.
It's real.
A bunch of corny quotes, but it's like
It's real.
people, I think once not to talk about myself, but I just feel as though once I stopped kind of attaching an expectation to all of this and just started enjoying the journey,
Right.
I get so much more fulfillment out of it, and I've just enjoyed it more
Yes.
than anything.
Amen.
That's really the biggest thing. Like,
Fact.
for example, too, and then celebrating other people's successes and being part of that.
Yes.
Like, for example, like I had a artist friend of mine who, for the Gold Fest, which I want to definitely talk to you about in a little bit, but they said, oh, like you should, like, oh, are you gonna go cover that? Like, are you gonna like bring a camera and do it? And that would have been fine if I did, but in my headspace, I was like, you know what? No, like I just want to go as a supporter, and I want to just, I don't need to capture the content.
Yes.
I did make a quick little video about it, but that's whatever. Like, that was after the fact.
Yeah,
after I digested it a little bit.
Exactly.
I wanted to be in the moment. I wanted to enjoy it, and I wanted to act like I was like
As
a
a
part
part.
of that.
Yes, bro.
Just as an audience member.
You were,
because
exactly.
it was never going to be about me, and you were a part of it, way bigger than I was. But like, it wasn't even just about you. It was about the entire community and everybody that came together for that day. So I don't see it anymore as like, I almost like see, I think we have to look at our art as almost like living, breathing things, that they do have a life of their own, and we just have to feed it, or whatever. Even art, like creative spaces, whatever. Like, once I started just taking the attachment away from this, almost as like I have to get to X amount of followers, I have to monetize, I have to do this, that. Those things will, like, I want them to happen, of course, but I feel like sometimes I still get in that headspace. I'm not perfect, but when I catch myself and I'm like, no, and my mom's great about that, 'cause she'll always take me. Shout out, Mom. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
She'll always, take me down a couple pegs. Sometimes she's like, look at everything you've accomplished, and like look back at like the journey. Continue to look back at the journey, and I'm like, you're so right, because that's where I've gotten the most fulfillment, and like the moments, and just like the things that I think will take me forward. So that's
So, and you spitting right now, and I'll say this to add as an example.
Please do.
Because I know the biggest statement is always, I don't remember what it was or where it came from, but it was just like, too many people. At the end of the day, too many people are focused on the destination rather than the journey. Of
course, yes.
So it's very simplistic. As when I was just rapping, and when I was just hooping, I was just rapping for fun. I'm rapping on the bus. I'm rapping here. I'm rapping there. Just rapping. Beats on the table, boom, right? And you're like, all right, I got raps. And you're rapping. It's like, oh, Meech, you're nice. And you always hear that, and it cultivates stuff. So when people have successes or people show moments of brilliance, for sure, you have to acknowledge it, because you just don't know what it could derive, especially within our creative space. Like, creative space is this opportunity and this window to step away from reality, to be able to assess reality. Like, that's what this is here for. But we're not assessing anything anymore, right? The majority of music just stopped assessing. They're just in it. You're just all in it. So the beat even sounds in it. I love Cardi and all that, but he just sounds in it. He just sounds in it. So I can't resonate. I can't feel him, but it sounds good.
There's like a time and a place for it, but you don't feel that connection.
You don't feel
to it.
right.
There's nothing like past just like, this is like a dope track. It's hype. It's cool. Whatever. It
right.
sounds good at a party or whatever, or in a space. But like, it's not like, I'm not gonna leave here tonight and put on Cardi, like, put on something like when I leave here to feel something.
Feel something.
That's not what that's not the intention for it, which is fine.
Right. And that's fine. And I know the basis of what I'm thinking about is just like human existence, right? So if you have someone that has, what's the best way I can say? They win a BMA, for example, right? And you're like, yo, you see him on the streets. Like, I've seen Charlie when I did the podcast earlier, and it was like, oh, you got the BMA? Like, yo, congrats on that. Because for Charlie, who says, when I was 28 years old, I didn't know what I was really on. As soon as I was working and I wanted to do something. That's serious. That's very real.
Yes.
Right? So when you have someone telling me 18 years old, and we just rapping in a van going to a game in Southern Vermont, and then dude's like, yo, Meech, you pretty decent at this. And you like, I would have never thought. And that led to, now Felix is like, yo, I think you should join VB, because and it wasn't even it was until I took my own. I saw Felix working. I saw Giles doing some stuff, and I saw my other boy do some stuff, and I'm like, like I want to make a project because I'm feeling a lot about what just happened in college. And that's all it was. They didn't tell me go make music, go rap. It was just literally them allowing me to be involved in it, allowing me to be involved in those little moments, whatever it was, a show, whatever, all that. And then it just went from there, right? Yeah. So then everything started cultivating, and all the people that stemmed from 16 years old to when I was 13, whenever Joey Badass dropped 1999, I remember Waves happened. I remember I was in high school.
2012-ish, 2011-ish.
2011-ish, right? So I was like
a
junior, senior in high school.
Yeah, I think I believe I was a senior as well. I graduated in 2012.
2012, same.
Okay,
same.
cool. So the same age.
So that's what I was like, to me, I was like, bruh, I was like, this dude's the same age as me, but he's rapping about everything.
Right.
Like, how's he rapping about
this? And it was from such a mature place.
Bro.
I'm with you. I remember because I've been a hip hop head since I was young too, and like I remember listening to 1999 and being like, "Damn, this sounds a lot like the older shit that I was listening to back when I was 9-10 years old." And I was like, exactly.
I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. And he had that like deeper voice, so just naturally, I thought he was older. I completely agree with you. And that 1999 really was like the stamp for me that was like, okay, yeah, you can be whatever, like your experiences don't define necessarily your age necessarily. Like those two things don't need to necessarily align. Like I have had students, I shit you not, for sure, that have probably been through a ton of more. Sometimes they've been through a lot more than I have. Yeah, at the age that they're at, and it's not to say that I haven't been through my own shit, but it's like some kids have like that I've met over time, like. They're a lot more mature than you would think. It's because they've had experiences that fostered that in some way, shape, or form.
Right. And in that same breath, you see those little things. I love the word foster you're using because that's where I kind of stem from it. So if Joey's had capital Steez to foster him.
Yes.
And the other guys for sure, no disrespect to everyone else, but you can just kind of, we can all feel the truth.
Of course.
Of like, all right, Steez and Joey, like they different. And I think that's where I was like, all right, and that's why Joey to this day will talk about, like Steez was how
impactful he's been. Yeah,
bro, you talking about on even his last project?
Of course,
he still can't get over that. That's real,
and he never will. That was his guy,
and that's the point. The connectivity, like that's no joke. So when you have the scene, I want to feel connectivity.
Yes,
I don't want it to be fake. I don't want it to be hurrah hurrah because you're doing well. No, hurrah hurrah for you who might be opening for Drake, and hurrah hurrah for you that just did Rockwell for 60 people, right? Like let's keep it a buck, right? And I think that's what's missing a lot because the overarching thing is just like, all right, everyone's like, hey, yay, everyone's yay. But then it's like, yo, are we really, making sure we're saying, you're doing what, like, that was fire, that was good. And like, how are you doing today? Like, it's dope, 28, yeah, but that dropped in February. Like it's like I'm not even the same person anymore, right?
Of course.
And that's how it should be. Like our artistic evolution and expression is that. It's an expression. It's a point in time. It's fleeting. And then you grow and you move on. Like I guarantee you if Tupac was 30, he would have been totally different. It's just a fact. Like he would have talked totally different from 25. He would have been representing himself totally different. And that's why we need to keep everyone alive. Like keep the spirit alive. That's why I shout out Glass. Like this is like still overarching right back to Glass for me. Because it's just like it went right back to the main thing. Your expression, your creative inspiration is still there. It's still there. Unless that dies, especially when you're already in this, it's a steep climb to come back from that. It really is. And the right people do that. And I see the scene has so much potential, from top to bottom. And we can all do it, like, right? So it's good to when you see a Bia talk to a Key at a no label, right? Like you see someone here and someone that's here, and they could be there. They will be there with that assistance. You can see VB is here when we had Stiz. Like Stiz was like, yo, I see y'all. Christmas was like, I see y'all. Like that was just vital. After a time and point, we weren't getting any of that. So, and that helps us. Without them, that you don't get bad for press. Facts, right? You just don't. And like that's what people have to understand. If we be able to cultivate each other, you can literally get a great project out of it. You could get a great moment out of it. It's insane, bro. We don't have this meeting. You know what I mean? We don't have this meetup because someone just says you're good, and it's not no like fisticuffs. Like let's just fake all the comp, bro. If we really want to compete, you'll know. You know what I mean? But we're not there yet. Like no one's there. I don't see that in anybody. No one's really trying to make it awkward. So that's the reason why to me I'm like, I'm like, that's where my mind is at. I'm like, yo, Glass, let's make it awkward. That's all I kept on saying. I'm like,
let's make it
awkward. Let me just talk my talk. So that's why it feels great, bro, just to get to this. I had to get that off.
Seriously, like, I can't thank you enough for this conversation. No, you left me with some. You left. This is everything right now. This really is. I think anybody that, I mean, thank you, and I feel very honored and privileged to have this conversation with you, because I feel as though it's now, like, I'm gonna walk away from this a lot more inspired,
bro. Vice
for
versa.
real. So I appreciate it so much, and I hope that anybody listening to this felt the same way after hearing that, because that was those some bars, bro. I hate to cut off such an incredible conversation.
No,
but
please do.
I do need to jump to the next segment of the show, or quickly before we finish the main lesson. We have a couple more quick questions in that left, but we got to do a pop quiz. So, what pop quiz is, for anybody, any of your listeners, anybody that's coming on to us for the first time through Meech and doesn't know anything about our show, we do the segment of the show called Pop Quiz, where I ask you some rapid fire questions. Some of them have to do with music, some have nothing to do with music at all, so they're just kind of a mishmash of different questions. First question I have is, what was your initial reaction to TDE's DJ MacWop shouting you guys out for Gangbanger Remix?
I was flabbergasted. I was completely confused. I was lost, and I said that was a great moment, because TDE's a big inspiration. I was confused, bro. That's the best way. I was flabbergasted and confused.
That's awesome.
Facts. Great man. Shout out MacWop, man. That's my guy.
I love it. On the same wave of TDE, and by the way, that's just like an incredible cosign for you guys to have. I'm sure you guys were like floored by that. You've said before you want a loyal fan base like Absol or Isaiah Rashad. What about those guys do you look up to the most, and what do you think makes their fan bases so loyal, in your opinion? Like, when you said that, like, what about those two fan bases made you say that?
Very simple for me. Artistic integrity. It's that simple. Artistic integrity.
Okay,
man.
Good answer. No, I completely agree. I'm a big TDE guy too, and I think criminally underrated Absol as a lyricist, and then Isaiah Rashad's creativity as well. I mean, both of them are creative in their own rights, of course.
Larry June too is another one. I'm adding him to that list.
Larry June?
That's my guy.
Yeah. Larry June's fire. Okay, so being a former basketball player and coach, as I am myself, you played and coached for a little while at Elms College.
Yes.
So for those former and current athletes who never went on to do any kind of coaching, what do you think is the biggest difference in the mental preparation between preparing for a game as a player versus preparing for a game as a coach?
Oh, it's night and day. As a player, I would say the biggest thing was doing your work. You do your work, and it's annoying, but ball is this simple. You buy into your role for the time being. It can always change. But I wish I told myself that, because I'm like, it's always gonna I'm always gonna be nah, bro. Like, I literally, if I went back in time, I'll be like, yeah, this is your role. You play 94 feet, you defend, and you drive, penetrate, and kick. Right? You don't shoot threes like that. You don't try to be aggressive for a basket. That's what we're asking of you. Right, freshman year, that's what they're asking. And then sophomore year, we would like to see you increase a little bit more, shoot a little bit more, this and that, third. So you do that. And then third year, you do that. And then fourth year, you culminate it, and you have the trust to do anything at that point. Unless you really it depends on your trajectory. So if you come in already lit like that, that's different.
Yeah.
You grow in areas leadership, right? So the preparation was totally do your work and buy into your role. And when you buy into your role, don't be a slave to your role. So I would go
I'm so glad you said that. I wish I said that to my former self too. Not to cut you off. So I was I was a hoops guy my whole life, and played in high school, won a state championship, played a little bit of college, nothing like you. I didn't play 4 years like you did, but growing up until I was about a freshman, sophomore in high school, I was seen as the best player in my grade, things like that. I was kind of seen as this potential prodigy. Let it get to my head, and then just didn't I just didn't pan out the way I wanted to.
Yep.
And as a junior and senior, I just became a spot up shooter essentially. Yeah. But I feel as though while I embraced that role as a player, because I got to playing the games
Yeah.
and have that role. I wish I had said to myself, no, like you need to work on these other areas of your game, because I just realized, so I've been this height since I was in 7th grade.
Okay, that's crazy.
I hit 6'1". I just don't know if I've ever said this on air. I was 6'1" in 7th grade. Okay. So your boy was just I was just bigger. So I had some skill. I could shoot it, and like it was at a time where like obviously Steph Curry wasn't a thing at that point. So
that was crazy.
I'm like 6'1", and my coaches are trying to get in the post, but they're like, he can kind of shoot it. Yeah. Actually, he can really shoot it. Like, damn, all right. And my coach just kind of gave up at one point. He's just like, go ahead, just shoot wherever. Because, like, I was scoring 20-something points a game. But I allowed all that to get to my head. And then, I just didn't work as hard as other guys. Other guys just, grew, caught up to me, etc. But I love that advice, because I wish I had said, someone had told me that, because I just became a spot-up shooter. And, again, I played my role, and it helped the team, and I appreciated that. But once I got to college, I needed to have a much more well-rounded game, and it just didn't work out because of that.
I'm telling you, it's really night and day. And then college is just college preparation was you can do all the work. What I learned is you can do all the work you want. You can do all the film study. You can break down offenses. You can give defensive schemes. You can give all that to a player. But it's a waste of time if they don't believe in you, if they don't have a belief in the whole agenda. It's a waste of time. Yeah. It's a waste of time. Really, I love my school, love my alma mater, always going to root for them. But I wasted those 2 years of, like, there was a lot of work I did, to the point where I look at the game of basketball now, because, like I just see the game of basketball. I understand. Yeah. Like, I understand, because you're watching D3 film. Mm-hmm. I'm watching Curry College versus Framingham State for 8 hours.
Right. That's how my alma mater.
There you go. Framingham State. Shout out Framingham State. Right? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm watching them. Ain't nobody, they don't know who, like, my cousin don't know who played at Framingham. And it's like, that's how serious, you have to love the game to really, like, and I enjoyed that. I was enjoying that. But then when you tell them, hey, number 33, likes to drive left, force some this, like, they're gonna be like, all right, cool. And then you get in the game and you don't do it, right? Over and over. And I said, bro, that 6-point swing is more than you think.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in college. That's everything.
Oh, absolutely. Even in high school. So I coached high school basketball for 10 years. Okay. And I just let up my last season. This past winter was my last one. Yep. And I would tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, think about it. Like, if you turn the ball over, right, and they score, right, that's potentially a 6-point swing. Yep. Most of the time, maybe like a 4 or 5-point swing. Mm-hmm. But then think about, if you turn the ball over 20 times in a game, and they only turn the ball over 5. So you're looking at a potential, 15 times 4. Let's just even take the threes out of the equation. 60-point swing potentially. Yeah. Now, obviously, they're not going to score in every possession, but that's how you have to look at it. As like, when you have an assignment, you gotta play it. But I understand about it. It's frustrating because team sports are tough, because you're trying to fit your role in as a part of a better collective, but you also want yourself to grow too.
Yes.
So like, it's the same thing.
Coaching could be
it's the ego thing. It keeps it. No, and then coaching
can make you feel like you're stagnant.
Yeah.
If it's, you're not finding the right players,
right?
Or it starts from the coach, right? You don't have the right. If you don't have the coach spewing the right message, right, then you don't recruit the right players. Mm-hmm. Championship winning players. You don't recruit those. It's hell. It's literally hell on earth, bro. A bad basketball season in college and high school, I wouldn't know in high school, but in college, it's hell, because now you're driving to Nashua, New Hampshire to get smacked. Like, it's just like
it's never a fun time,
bro. 4-hour ride, and then what? You give me $15 to go get food, right? You know what I mean? Like, the stipend. It's tough. So you really gotta love it. That's the reason why
you really do, especially Division III.
Oh my goodness,
you really gotta love it. And
it's real. Division III puts in the same amount of work. The only difference between I feel D3 and D1 is there's no, you don't stay there in the summer, right? You don't work in the summer, but the schedule, the practice schedule is just as heavy.
It's almost pretty much the same.
It's just the same.
It's, for me, it was 6:30 wake up.
Yep.
Going to play. Yep. Five full court for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And you're going to class. Yep. Then when you get out of class, lifts. Yep. Then you're going to dinner as a team. Yep. And then at minimum, I think for us, it was twice a week. We're going to study hall. Yep. And I'm getting back in my dorm at 9:00 and doing it all over again. And it's just, it's hard.
And you're talking about Framingham State and Elms College. Like, these are not even premier D3 teams.
Oh God,
that were doing that.
Oh no,
you know?
no. I think
that's how
the
serious
whole
it is.
4 years I was there, and I didn't play the full time, but I only played for a very short period of time. I think the most games they won was maybe like 5 in a season. And they went through 3 different, coaches. It was just it's when you have a revolving door of coaches too, you don't have that continuity.
Yeah. There's no commitment.
It's over.
Oh,
it makes it tough.
Oh man.
So
I wouldn't change it trade it for the world though.
No, I wouldn't either.
It's the best trauma I ever inherited, bro. Trust me, college ball.
And as a coach too, I will always value. I think I'll go back to it someday. It's just for me.
No, I will too.
For me, it's just time.
No, trust me. I'm like 45. My whole goal is 45, 50, lead a whole high school program.
I love it.
I'm gonna do that.
It.
Trust me. When it's all said and done, the dust settles. I've done my stuff with this.
Well, maybe we'll cross paths on the
Yeah.
court someday.
I'll come after that chip, man.
Not if I can help it. Give me your best Chris Rock impression.
Man, I haven't done it in a minit.
You haven't done it in a
I'm
little
kind
bit.
of rusty. Now you gotta where do we go? It's like I just know. Look at the clock. Straight. Like, 3 o'clock. This is something, that's, I used to do it very good. I fell off on it.
I heard you had a good one.
I tried to do it on Adam Lou. It was all right, but I haven't watched, I was so infatuated. I'm infatuated with stand up anyways.
Gotcha.
Because of just writing, period. Right?
I love stand up comedy too.
Right?
I do.
There's still this, like, they chronicleize.
Talk about an art form.
Oh.
And not to cut you off, but there's one thing I heard about comedians that I thought was so unique and interesting. It's one of the only industries where you can get to the very, very pinnacle in the top, and you fall all the way back down and you start over because, someone like Chris Rock even, right? Anybody.
Louis C.K.
Any of these people, right? Yeah. When you finally get to the point where you do that stand-up special, then you got to go all the way back and start over because you have to come up with new content and new ideas. So you're going to the comedy clubs again that you started in,
beautiful.
And you're practicing different jokes and different deliveries and things like that, and you're working on more just criteria, and you're perfecting your craft. And I love that element. Like someone said a lot more eloquently than I did, but I love the idea of like you rise all the way to the top and you just come all the way back down. You start over again.
Bro, I'm telling you, it's amazing, and I think that's why I love it because you get. I remember, I think it was Styles P was saying this, but pretty much hip hop is the only art form that we literally isolate you more and more the older you get. And that's the crazy thing because stand up, you don't see people reach their comedic prime till like 40s, late 40s, 50s. Like Eddie was a lightning in a bottle, like to be able to be early 20s and captivate the world. Kevin Hart was like 36, 37 by the time he had it. So it's serious, and I think hip hop to me deserves that Sam Grandeur like process because it's like it's a teaching tool. You need more time, you need more life. You need more to see to come back. But now what's rough is that you have a 23-year-old who's lit, travel the globe, travel the country, and they talk about it. So then they're like, yo, he's experienced. He knows what he's talking about because he was just on a whole 50-country tour. He knows what it is. And it's like, but you know what I mean? Like, does he really even know he's conceptual, like what just happened to him? Does he really know what that run? That's why Michael Jackson is like, did he even know what that run was when he was 12, 13 years old? And that's when probably not, right? And then that's when you get to mid-20s and he's like, yo, everything I did then was never my music. So what? And then Quincy's like, what do you want to do for your music then?
Right.
And that's how you get a Thriller Off the Wall. Like, what do you want to do for your music? Well, I think disco's coming up and I like it, but they're not doing it well enough. And it's like, oh, that's what Michael actually wants to do? That's what Michael wants to do? Word, let's do that. Like, that's what I love. So, like, comedians are the same. Like, you see Chris Rock, like, came up. He was very vulgar about, like, the black community. Very vulgar. Like, people didn't like it. And then as he grew out of that, he gets mainstream, does commercial, all that stuff. He doesn't do as much stand-up. And then he gets slapped. He gets divorced. He does the tambourine. Like, now you see a little bit more of a meditative, oh, I'm getting older. I don't have a wife anymore. I cheated. I'm wilding. Okay, let's talk about that. Will Smith slaps you. Now you talk about that, right? Like, he's evolved, and that's the beauty of it. Chappelle, same thing, right? Early stand up, walk away from 50 mil, come back reincarnated, and that is true. That's true art. That's true art. Like, it's
it really is. It really is an art form,
right.
and it's just sort of just exact state. It really is. It's
beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful. I'm a huge stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
I love it. My family and I we watch stand-up comedies like that's like our thing. We love
I gotta pull
that.
up to one soon. I will.
Yeah. Oh, going to a stand-up comedy show is amazing.
Yeah.
I went to. It was on New Year's Eve. Andrew Schultz's stand-up comedy in his special that he did in Boston, and it was just, oh my god, like just so like your stomach hurts afterwards. Laugh like to that type. Of thing.
He worked. I remember him being on like MTV shows, like random MTV shows, like in the 2013, 14s, like mad randomly. And then I saw him. He capitalized on Instagram's like little movement, and then I saw that he's actually pretty funny. Yeah. Like I remember Chappelle even gave him like a nod, like, yo, these Instagram communities is weird, but like the Andrew Schultz guy, he's actually pretty good. Like you could tell he did the work.
During the pandemic, he was doing those rants and like that just were very relatable in a lot of ways, you know. So especially at the height of the political sort of things that were going on at the time, he really, you know,
respect to him, bro.
Yeah, no, all Chris Rock too, Kevin Hart, another one. I mean, I feel like he really capitalized on his stand-up comedy and his craft and becoming a great actor and being in so many different roles and different things like that. It's just like you said, we talked about earlier, just that evolution of the art form. It's great. So I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy myself. Couple more here. Bold Willow Tree just hit 1 million streams recently on Spotify. Did you do anything specific to celebrate, or are those milestones not really too meaningful to you in a way? That's like one of my favorite songs.
I appreciate it, bro.
It really is.
Thank you. It's funny because I didn't celebrate. I posted. I was great. I'm thankful more than anything. I'm just blessed and thankful for more than anything. But what bothers me and doesn't bother me about that whole song is that the process never changed. Like I think I literally was just going with the vibes, and I just remember that day I was just on some weird stuff like, yo, let me. Ricky, you got a beat? Oh, I like that beat. Give me 15 minutes. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna do a 15-minute challenge just cause. Like, and then I don't remember where I saw it from, but someone was like, yo, I'm gonna put 15 minutes. Like, oh, word. I was watching some YouTube joint, and I'm just like, oh, let me do that. And I just did that. E.T.'s like, yo, let me get on that. I said, bro, all right, go ahead. You better give me a good verse. And then he went on there, did the verse, and I said, word. And I think he literally left immediately after. He's like, all right, bro, I'm going to go get food. Like, it wasn't no, like, crazy concept. We sweat all night, all day. Like, no.
Like, this is going to be the one.
Bro.
Like, it wasn't like that.
Bro.
Huh, interesting.
When I say it was nothing like that, it was the most simple day of my life. I went home, watched Toy Story, Pixar, one of my favorite movies, and then Pixar joint came on.
Big Toy Story guy,
right? Huge Toy Story guy. That's my guy. Woody's my guy. But yeah, bro. Pixar sound effect came on. I was just like, the song wasn't done, and my demos I listen to them every day. I nonstop, right? So I don't stream. I didn't do anything. I was just all that, and I was like, I need a transition, and that happened, and I was like, word. And that's how I got that. And everyone was saying like that was the reason why they were so captivated by it. Like majority of the people that follow me were like, yo, I found that. I was so captivated by it. Listen to the rest of your catalog. You're sick. You're filthy. I'm like, bro, what a blessing because of that. Right? You know, like it was a simple day. I was chilling just like this, watching Pixar movie. And I'm like, that would be cool. Just like it's my normal process. And I think that's what I love. Like for 5 years of work and like my method to the madness, I started like figuring out what I preferred and liked in my creative process. And as long as I liked it, that's all that matters.
Of course. No, that's that's all that matters. But at the same time, it's like for you working as hard as you have for a song that you didn't really think was going to be as special as it has become and meant to, like I said, a lot of people that clearly are listening to it. That's a beautiful thing in itself as well. Yeah.
So I'm telling you, there's only one person. It was my boy Fufu and Soup. He was the only one. Like I played him the record. I said, yo, I made a joint the other day. Peep. He said, yo, this is a record. I'm just like, all right, word, I'll put it out. Like, you know, and
it became one.
Yeah. Shows keep those close, you know.
Absolutely. Keep those close. Absolutely. Last question in pop quiz. I know you take Bible study classes on Wednesdays. Is that correct?
Yep.
So how is this time important to you personally? And then besides including like, and you've definitely included like a lot of like biblical references in your songs. And some of your album covers have like sort of biblical references. So how do you think your faith impacts you as like a person, but also as an artist as well?
It's a huge factor for me. In my earlier stages, it was always there. Like I always was cultivated in it. But the difference was what you just even acknowledged, like the Bible studies. And now like I do a Bible study. Shout out my boy Connie from college that I hooped with. We do literally Bible study every day. Like we'll navigate the word every day. And then sometimes it'll be like twice a day. Like it'll be like 2 days, like cause we just hoopers, like we hoop. So like we come from that, like yo, if I feel that initiative, I'm there. I'm gonna do it at the. I would take thousands of jumpers daily. Like that was nothing for me at a certain point in time because I just loved the work and seeing that you reap what you sow. So that was everything. And that's why this Glass project I can say is my best work because I'm coexisting in real life, in real time, like with this work over here with my faith and that practice and the practice of the art. Whereas before it would just be practice of art with some sort of foggy knowledge of the faith. Like it was just foggy, but it was always there, bro. It was always freaking annoying. Like it was just always there. I'm just like, what is this all about? And once I had someone, again, the company you keep is everything. So once I had my boy Connie, just kind of keep me there in the field of it, I was like, yo, we're going to do this every day. And he's like, wait, what? Like every day? I thought we were going to do this weekly. Like, nah, every day. Like we got to do this every day. Because I remember with my music, to get to Bull Willow Tree, I was doing music every day for 4 or 5 years. Right. So you really reap what you sow. And I'm like, bro, it's bound to break. So why would I not do that with my faith? Sure. So that's where now I feel like, yeah, I found my peace in all of this, you know what I mean? To just be like, that's why I didn't really celebrate a million Bull Willow Tree, because I'm looking at the bigger picture of I'm happy it, you know, it made me connect with people, it made people like my music, but it didn't change my day to day. Right. You know, I didn't go to Whole Foods and like I'm like, like, you know, like I didn't pay a car note. I was able to pay a car payment with whatever I made from there, but like Spotify don't pay much. Like, so then it's just like, what is this?
Disgusting.
It's disgusting. So
horrible.
I'd rather like, that's the reason why to me I never made much of it. So when I talk to people and younger people, they're like, yo, I can't believe you talking to me. I'm like, bro, what? Like, it's not that deep, bro. And don't die on that hill of like, I need 1 million streams, because you get it. What you're gonna like, I'll show you what you get. Like, you know what I mean? Trust.
Life just kind of moves on as is. No, I hear you.
It's Uncle Sam, don't give a damn. Like,
I feel like artists that are a little bit wet behind the ears are the ones that are like, oh, I want 1 million streams.
Yeah. I was them.
Of course. When you start, you think that's the pinnacle, but it's like, no, it's a lot of other things. It's brand deals, sync licensing. It's all the other things
that no one talks about. Yeah. And like, it's so funny.
All your merch, your shows, all the things that actually will help you to create, whether it's a side living or a living off artistry. But I love what you said about just having, like, building that routine for everything you do. Like that is a mindset. Bruh. That's a mentality, and you have it. And I just love that. And I hope that inspires other people too to, like, you know, stay good. Consistency. It's so important. It's not
huge. Sexy.
Of course it's not.
Just know that.
The work is never sexy.
The work is never sexy. The simplicity and mundaneness is not sexy at all.
No, it is not.
But the day I got to 1 million streams was okay, I'll put it like this. The day I stopped caring for 1 million streams and wanted 1 million streams, it happened. I was like, what?
Isn't it weird how those things happen?
And that's life, right? The day you like stop hunting and chasing, I've already seen it, like guys that stop chasing hunting women, and then like they get married. They find a girl.
It literally happened to me, bro. I'm not kidding. I deleted all my dating apps. I was like, fuck this. I'm done. This is horrible.
Yes.
Literally, I go to a wedding, one of my friend's weddings, and she's like, the running joke in my friend group is I was going to George Clooney it, that I was going to like never get married. It's a backstory of me, like, you know, put it this way, come from a family of divorce. Yeah. Did not enjoy it. Did not see myself going down that road of marriage at all. And I say, yep. I say to her, yep, I'm George Clooning it. Absolutely. As you said, literally not even kidding. 2 weeks later, a girl I had a huge crush on when I was in college comes back into my life 4 years later.
Amen, dog. That's crazy, dog.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Like when I stopped looking, she was like, oh, hey, I'm right here.
Yeah. You're like, what?
It's wild.
And you always knew, but you didn't, right? That's the point. Like, you knew, but you didn't.
Dude,
right? So
yeah, like I'm not super religious, but I'm definitely like spiritual in the sense of like I don't know what I believe, but I definitely believe there's a higher power. Right. And I think there's just so much that we as humans just don't understand. We don't understand. Like we think we have more control over our lives than we think we do. Like we do have control in some ways. I'm not saying we don't, but I think we have more autonomy over our lives than we realize. Like there is just, the universe does, like I said, work. Like, here's another corny quote. Works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
It is a real thing.
It is.
I mean, we've all, I'm sure, been a witness to it in some way, shape, or form of seeing, you know, just serendipity or whatever, just working to give us something that I think we need at that time. Right? Maybe at that time, my time was to have her in my life then. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't before then. Maybe it was, I had to come to that realization of like, I should probably stop chasing women and going on these meaningless dates and having the same conversation, right? Because this person is the person I'm supposed to be with. It's
Bro.
just, it's strange how that shit happens.
Bro, strange. Like I remember they always say like the truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you see like, wait, she was always around. Like this makes no sense. And I think that's the reason why to me, like you even said, if you come from divorced parents, and then I had my parents, like it's like we have to acknowledge a lot of the things of just humanity in itself. We can't lean on our own understanding. We can't.
No,
Like
so
when
well
it's
said.
when it's all said and done. So, and I think I know I found peace knowing that. I said, oh wait, I don't have to just listen to, like, it's just me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the moment I was able to say, all right, bet, like, I don't have to be a know-it-all. Whoa, like, that's crazy to me. And then that's why I always loved, we get inspired by a lot of artists, because a lot of their great work comes from confusion. It comes from a place of no understanding. You're trying to find understanding. It's seeking, right? So, and I think that's the reason why it's like, all right, now you have your parents get divorced. It's a sad thing. It might not be a good result, but then you get a good result. Maybe now you have a kid, right? And then now your parents, a granddad and a grandmom, and they could be like, you know, do this. Like, I didn't do that correctly. So that you can avoid that, because it's not joyful. Like everyone, I know for a fact that all of our parents always contemplate that. Every marriage, every relationship is contemplating a breakup, contemplating a divorce. But then there's some people that can see it through, and some people that's like, we can't see it through with each other. It's what it is, like compatibility, right? So, and time always reveals that, right? So that's why I always like, my favorite record was always like, shout out Stash. Like, time will show me who's the most pure, bro. Like that's just what it is. It's just purity. No one's right, no one's wrong. Right? Seriously, it's just who's pure. Who can sit here and say, and tell can your mom tell your son, your future son, like, you know, the way you treated Sarah is not, don't do that, because your dad, your grandpa, you know, and then like your son's love and you teaching him to love your grandma enough will be able to hear his grandma and be like, you're right, grandma. Like, thank you. That's why that center core family that's why it's so huge to me, because my grandma was there for that. Yeah. My grandma was there. Like, her and my grandpa worked together, and my grandpa was wilding. He had like 19, 20 kids. Like, I got a aunt my age, right? Like, seriously. Wow. So, like, but she was always just like, yeah, just keep loving. Like, just keep going. I'm just like, how? Like, how you not pissed, right? Like, burn his car. Like, nah, bro. Like, maybe... Like, that's just what it is. So
yeah, because doing those things are never gonna, like, it's never gonna fix your problems.
There's no answer.
It's not gonna change anything.
It's not gonna change nothing,
no,
right?
No,
so
of course.
That's the reason why, like, it's so much more peace in knowing there's no, like, the right and wrong answer. Like, there's always gonna be right and wrong, good and bad. There's like, but that's the ethos of our world, right? Good, evil, yin and yang. Yeah. That's it. Like they said, the devil, God, right? There's always gonna be a back and forth. So.
Right. And I've always said this now, or like the last few years. Like, I mean, I think I always believed it in my heart that I would, you know, get married and have kids. I mean, I'm not there yet, of course, but like I'm on my way. And I always said, you know, I always wanted to say that I wanted to be a better dad than mine. You know what I mean? That was always my goal. Right. And, you know, my mom was just like a fucking rock. And the other thing about it too is I felt as though, I realize it now, that having that mindset of, oh, this divorce when my parents were 10, my dad, you know, not being around and things like that, and that's that whole situation sucking. Yeah, it was tough, but in my adult life, to carry that still, and I think I'll carry it in some way, shape, or form, but to like make decisions based off of it, I was doing myself a disservice in my adult life to have something and be happy and give myself and my future family an opportunity to be happy and to right those wrongs potentially. So, you know, I see that now. I see that now, that you're absolutely right, that experience and what I thought I knew is not really what I know I can be as an adult and as a man. Right. You know? Right. And I know that no, this is the situation that's what's best for me, not the situation I thought that was best for me. Correct. Because I was acting off of trauma and off of pain and those things. Again, I was confused. I didn't understand. It's just you
speaking my life. That's what this
is a bro. Like, we just we could go on forever, bro. This is a beautiful conversation.
Trust me, bro. I love this. And I think to even bring it back, I'll end it like this for this specific topic. Like, the point is we want to progress. You have to progress the next generation. Mm-hmm. So you got to challenge the status quo. So the status quo of, like, you had a bad, if you say, oh, okay, I had my dad wasn't a good father. Okay, I'll be a better father. And that's the progression, so that you can see your lineage, bro. Like, you can see your grandkids. That's what's scary about that. Like, we don't, I think right now people aren't even seeing lineage concepts. They're thinking about, I'm gonna die, so I gotta figure it. I gotta go to France right now. I gotta do coke right now. I gotta do Molly right now. And I understand those urges. So like, and I would lean on that so much. So that's why to me, I want what I hope and pray for, man, with art especially, is that when all this flashy stuff, because I love looking cool, nice. Like I love my watch, I love whatever. Like I love my chain. I like it. I like all those things. I'll say that. But the whole point I would hope to see is musically and artistically seeing people push the next generation, like the next form of lineage, because we are seeding it right now. Like we're sowing those seeds right now. So if we're talking about Rick Owens right now, they're gonna talk about whatever designer is going to be popping in 2040. You know what I mean? That's what's going to be cool. And it's like, all right, if we could be able to have the majority of artists say like, yo, let's push the next generation forward and talk about the challenges of our marital stuff, cheating, infidelity issues, my drug addiction, porn addiction, you can, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Materialism, right? Like I was always into cars and fancy things and fast life, right? Alcoholism. Right, those are the things we have to attack. You know, gotta do it for the next generation, because it's like it's bigger than us. It's deeper than rap, right? So that's it.
Meech, man, for real. Like so many just like eloquently stated things that you've said today, like in this episode. Like I'm serious. Yeah, for real.
You're
like
spitting, bro.
Yeah, for real. This is awesome. Yo, straight up. I appreciate the shit out of you, man.
Yo,
like you guys got a treat
bro.
with this one. I'll tell you that right now.
Bro.
You got an absolute fucking treat with this one. Bro, like I can't thank you enough for coming through today. This has been that was apparently pop quiz. I don't think we've ever had a pop quiz that's gone. We never really finished pop quiz.
Yeah.
Man, you know I don't want to keep you too long, so I know this is you've been just this has been a blessing for real.
Vice versa,
I appreciate you so much. Wow, I'm gonna walk away from this so inspired. I do have one last question for you. So this is the open response.
Yes.
So in the open response, we do the dream song scenario on Turntable Teachers. So I'll structure for you. It's your song, Meech BOLD song, and you can have anyone on that song, dead or alive.
Okay.
You get up to 2 producers and 3 guest features. Who would be on Meech BOLD's dream song scenario? Take as much time as you need.
This is a good one. Okay. So feature wise, Marvin Gaye.
Ooh.
Marvin Gaye.
I don't think we've ever had Marvin Gaye on here. I got a Marvin Gaye vinyl in there. It's not up here.
Which one?
I'm gonna grab it right now.
I'm curious now. Which one was it? Yep.
I love.
Bro.
Which is a classic, obviously. I don't
Marvin Gaye.
I don't even need to say that, but
Bro.
I'm gonna leave this right.
Yeah, as I was saying, Marvin Gaye feature. I love the R&B. The R&B. The R&B. They know what it is.
Yeah.
The R&B ode. I always love the R&B hip hop trope concept. So, and you said two features.
Yeah, so that would be one. Yeah, 1 to 2 producers, and then you get up to 3 features.
I would do. So Marvin Gaye, me and Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
And then I would want Miles Davis to be involved in the production.
The old throwbacks. I love this shit.
I want Miles Davis to be involved in production 110%. As like, chords and all that, sonics, jazz sonics. I'll have Prince involved as well on that production side. And then the third person I'll add for that production quartet, who I think can kind of be in the room with it, is Pharrell, because I think he has enough humility to be. No, I lied. I'm tweaking. Yay.
Okay.
Kanye got to be in there.
All right.
So I'll say that. I would say Kanye, Miles Davis, and Prince is involved in the production.
And you got Marvin Gaye.
And then you got Marvin Gaye on the feature.
I love it.
And that's it.
I love it.
I wouldn't want anyone else after Marvin Gaye. What?
Come
on, bro.
Doesn't need anything.
Like, I'm good. And then, production wise, man, Ye would never fail me, and Prince's ear would never fail. He would test every artist quo. And Miles Davis was just him, man. Miles Davis didn't give a damn.
Well, I think it would be a smash hit. Meech featuring Marvin Gaye, Kanye West, Miles Davis, and Prince. I'm sorry, I forgot the last one.
Yeah,
that would be a absolute smash. Meech, what an episode.
Bro,
Seriously, I appreciate you so much for coming
I'll be
through.
back. I'll come back around next year when the album's out.
I would love that as well. I would love that as well. Yeah, this is your time right now to plug away. So any last shout outs or anything you got going on where people can find you if they're a fan of us but just coming on to you for the first time, which would be horrible. And make sure you get hip with this man and the entire Van Buren collective right now if you don't know who they are. That is an absolute crime. But go ahead.
Yeah, man. Fortune favors the bold. I'm gonna do some new merch really coming soon, really quick. Moneyman Meech on platforms. Van Buren. More music coming soon, but album coming next year. Album definitely coming next year, 110%. And I'll give you the name. I'll give you the name of the album.
Oh, right now, yeah.
I said, okay.
Turntable Teachers exclusive. Let's
I'll
go.
give you exclusive. So the name of the project is I'm Going to Tell You Before I ... That's the name of the album. So I'm going to tell you, comma, before I ...
Shit.
So I'll leave you with that. Yeah.
That's
the
deep.
album. Yeah, get ready, man. I'm excited, bro.
Damn. A Meech album produced by Jon Glass called that. Yo, all right, now I'm excited.
Glass, the cat's out of the bag.
I'm sure he won't mind. I'm sure he won't.
Nah, Glass like, you're sick, dude. Trust me.
I'm glad you did it here,
Yeah, bro.
No, appreciate you, man, for real. If you are a fan of Meech or Van Buren just coming on to us for the first time, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram, TikTok. Hit up our website, turntableteachers.com, for all the latest blog posts, merch, episodes, all that. And of course, if you're an artist, podcaster, or a content creator of any kind, make sure you hit us up at aoastudios.org. Book your session today. We are now open for bookings. And that's pretty much it. Meech, thank you so much for being here. It's an awesome episode.
Thanks, bro. Thank you, man.
Of course. So as always, I'm Mike. That's Meech with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.
Turn